Good morning and welcome to this week's Sunday drop-in with Croes-y-Parc Chapel. Well, the sun may be shining on some days and we may be seeing buds and green leaves appearing, and there is hope that spring is coming. But even despite that, for many, it will still be a time of hard time at the moment. And perhaps you are particularly in that place now, and perhaps you're grieving for the loss of somebody in your family or in your life. And if that's you today, we do hope this morning's drop-in will bring you some comfort as we start with Psalm 23, The Lord's my shepherd.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. The Sermon on the Mount is often called the greatest speech of all time, and there's a reason for that. It is the most profound, life-changing and significant speech in the history of the universe. And I think that the guy who came out with it wants us to understand it properly. To understand it at an intellectual level, sure, but also at a heart level. He wants us not just to comprehend the information it contains, but to embrace it. As we continue through this pandemic, the number of people dealing with grief and death continues to rise, and perhaps it might be difficult to see how Jesus' words, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted," can be true. Mourning, in the most common usage of the word, is generally straightforward. It is the heartfelt sorrow and sadness at the passing of a loved one. We grieve, we regret. Maybe we regret saying something to them. Perhaps we regret not saying something. When we mourn, we're overwhelmed with the thoughts of the one who has died. Our own lives are on hold as every moment is dominated by memories and images of the departed and our anguish that they have gone forever from our lives. The pain of loss seems exactly commensurate with the joy they brought into our lives. They are equal and opposite. Those who have loved much will also grieve much. Back in Christ's day, and for hundreds of years before, those who mourned, those who really mourned, were often supplemented by professional mourners, people who wept and wailed at funerals for money. And I suppose to us that this might look like a cynical exercise, both on the part of those who wept for cash and those who paid them to do it. It's certainly a different culture. For instance, the tears of mourners, professional and otherwise, were collected in skin bottles known as lacrimatories. From around 70 years after the death of Christ and his resurrection, they started making these bottles from glass, and they would be buried with the body. Do you ever think, I wonder, about the shortest verse in the Bible? It comes from John chapter 11, and it's just 2 words. Jesus wept. Just that. Jesus wept. Jesus had finally turned up at the house of his followers, Mary and Martha. His friend and their brother, Lazarus, had been dead for 4 days, and they were both angry that Jesus hadn't immediately come to them when they sent a message for him, and they let him know it. Now, Jesus is going to raise Lazarus from the dead. Not something he did for everyone, but he knows he's going to do it. He also knows that in a moment, the mourner's pain will turn to joy. But right now, Christ feels for them. And he feels for them from the heart. He doesn't tell them not to cry or not to be angry. He understands their pain, and even more than that, he enters into their suffering. It belongs to him just as much as it belongs to them. And he cries his eyes out. You see, there's a time when we need to acknowledge the pain that we feel. And we should never be afraid to express it before God, because it is only then, when we pour out our emotions from the depth of our very being, that we can be blessed by the comfort God brings. So I'd encourage you, if you are struggling at the moment, speak about it, not only with your trusted friends and family, but also with God. As it says in the Psalms, he is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. God bless and stay safe.
There's a time for tears and a time for pain. Time to hurt while the grief remains. There's a time when peace seems so far away, yet still God holds us on that day. There's a time to weep from the ache inside. Time to show what we've tried to hide. There's a time to doubt and to wonder why, and hold each other as we cry. God of comfort, God of the cross,
Thank you for being with us, and we hope you'll be with us again next Sunday. Until then, God bless.